information, if you don't think you have all the information you need, or you want to do additional fact gathering, that would require a continuation of the hearing, to set that date, to keep the record open. If you think you have enough information as far as that goes, and you just need time, you're just saying, I'm not sure I'm ready to make a decision next week, that we could then close the hearing then, and you can still discuss it at meeting before voting, but it's the additional information that would trigger, the need to keep the record open.
If we would add anything additional, the record right now needs to stay open.
Correct.
But discussion on topics that come up tonight is allowed.
Correct.
Before the official vote.
Correct. It's a public record, so, that would be up to the board. If you believe, from the public or from yourselves, or from the applicant, there's additional information that needs to be added to the record, we would need to make a motion to continue it. If you don't believe that's the case, it's a lot to digest, then we would close the hearing record. So we would have 60 days before we'd have to render it.
I myself, I'd like to keep it open, but I would like to discuss a couple things with the board.
Yeah, my concern is the water issue. If these guys don't have public water up there, is making sure that, everything's done the right way. You guys do this for every day. You guys know.
As it stands right now, Rich talk, as it stands right now, the property owner is supposed to monitor their water. Is that my understanding?
Yes.
If you notice a change in the quality of your water, notice us, notice the
It's
DEP.
up to me to monitor it, is that what you're saying?
It's-
Yes or no?
That's an easy
It's a
answer.
yes or no question.
No double talk.
Yeah.
No, I'm not trying to double talk. I wanna explain to you the kinds of things that we see when there are, and it's very rare that you actually see a water impact to someone's drinking water
I
supply.
don't know how you can say that, go ahead.
No, it's very rare. We've drilled, hundreds of wells.
What happened on Mama Bear well? Why do they all have tanks?
I didn't drill this.
So you don't know. You don't know.
The ones that I know about, and few and far between, what you see whenever you're drilling the well.
I can't hear Mr. Clem.
I'm sorry. When you're drilling the well initially, you're going to agitate the sediments that are in the soil and in the groundwater table, and this is going to cause a spike in manganese. And it's very apparent whenever there is a spike in manganese in your drinking water supply.
I've had awful furriers tell me there's no way to tell you where that water's coming from. So how can you tell me when you do a spike up there that my spring's gonna be bad?
I don't understand your question.
Who's gonna monitor my spring? That's my question.
If there's manganese in your spring, it's presumed that we're the ones that caused it. You tell us, hey.
But I have to monitor it to say it's in there, right?
You have to say, this is parts per million. My water tastes bad. You
But
ruined
it's up
it.
to me. That's all you gotta
I'm
tell
not
me.
gonna come taste your water.
Well, that's what I mean. It's up to me. That's all you gotta say. It's up to me to monitor my water.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
That
the
was
one
easy. That
so
was
hard to
easy
run
enough.
around.
Yeah.
I mean, Keystone was there, they monitored, they tested it 2 years ago, never been back. They know where I'm at, I'm pretty close to 500 foot from the well pad.
If I could, I understand the board wants to talk about this more, and certainly, as your solicitors indicated, you can do that. We'd ask the hearing to be closed, because is there any more information going to be presented? If not, we've closed our case, everyone's provided their comments, and again, a sense that the board clearly wants to discuss these matters further, and as your solicitor indicated, you have up to 60 days to do that. What additional evidence would be provided that would be of any relevance here? That's my only concern. Not that you don't want to discuss this issue, but what additional evidence would be provided that beyond what's already been presented tonight?
Conditions, maybe.
Just to make sure we're not bouncing back public anymore. Any of our citizens have any comments, we don't wanna cut anybody off. Yeah, okay, so board, I feel that we can discuss this, I think we can close the record, this is my opinion. But we do need to talk about things. It wouldn't be additional testimony, anything we would be adding to the records as exhibits. But we do have to have the ability at the next meeting to openly discuss some of the issues that correct?
Correct, yes, you can
Okay.
discuss, yes, you can discuss that, you can discuss conditions, that you feel will need to be added, to any approval or denial, either way, yes, you can discuss that.
We can add,
Yeah, right, so again, this is a conditional use, so they put on their presentation. As their counsel indicated, they rest their application, the information that they put in. You've heard the comments from the public, the concerns from them. Now, what is up to the board is, do you deny that they meet their burden? If you do not believe they did, you would, ultimately would vote to deny. If you believe they met their burden, that there were valid questions or concerns raised in which you believe reasonable conditions can be attached, that's what you guys can discuss at an open meeting, attaching additional conditions. I have a couple items that I wanna put on the record, just for that are related to potential conditions that might be added. But that's what the board could do. Or you could approve without conditions.
I took your explanation that we have to keep the record open to add anything.
No, you have to add information and testimony. To discuss conditions of the approval, no, you do not have to. You have to do that in a public meeting. Before you render a decision, if you're gonna discuss this, you would have to do that in a public meeting.
So just to be fair, the gentleman in the back, you asked when you're concerned you wanted to come or hear the next meeting, the discussions. Michael said that there would be potentially a decision at the,
So that's your next hearing. I mean, they'd have to vote at a public meeting. I guess the only thing I could recommend is up to the board. If you wanna write down your name and contact information, you can do so, an email or whatnot, so that you can be kept abreast, or I know it's on the township, they typically meet every second and fourth Wednesday of the month. And so they would have to discuss these items at a public meeting.
and we post the agenda online on the front door, on our website. So you can see what's going to be discussed that evening, just so you know.
Let me just make a couple of statements then. One is that I recommend that the board consider that they ban the practice of flaring the wells whenever they're first started up. This process burns a lot of natural gas that typically is difficult for the companies to handle. But it also, some of the contaminated water that flows back from underground, it's put out into the air and evaporated during the process, that then kind of showers down on the surrounding properties. Not a good practice as far as I'm concerned. Okay? It takes some diligence on you guys' part to look into it to see if this has been a problem with other locations or not. The other thing is that I would recommend that EQT be required to do some radon and some methane monitoring in the basements and in the water supplies of some of the houses that are local. This is a lot of ground disturbance, and you can have methane that's not related to the production mobilized by the activity.
That's all, sir? Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else? Okay, anything?
Just wanna, you are willing and able to coordinate truck traffic with Ringgold School District? I don't know if they travel a little bit, you guys, that would be.
Yeah, that's a
the
standard
board
practice for all
practice.
well sites that we coordinate with the local school district.
Oh, that was another question. Are you guys planning on any staging areas?
We shouldn't need it for this site at this time. The access road's over a quarter mile long. Plus with the AST pad, the well site itself, we should have access to staging room on site. And we are aware the township does have a provision in its ordinance for staging areas as well. So if we do stage somewhere, you guys will probably be one of the first to know. So.
And again, just to confirm, you have applied for a grading permit with the township engineer. That deals with the access road mainly, is that correct?
It deals with the entire site. It's the grading and stormwater of the entire site. It's approved by the state as well. The township engineer also reviews it, and, for example, the sewer line was one of the recommendations they had in their letter, so.
You will be open to understand that the township engineer will have likely input on that to make sure that the sanitary and the public water lines are protected. We talked about the sound wall, you did acknowledge that within 90 days of completion, that's another one. Oh, question, will anyone be living on site? Will anyone be living on site on the trailers? Or just the monitor, one or two?
Yeah, the one or two guys that are, the company man, the drilling man, that are there, taking shifts, 12 on, 12 off.
But not the rig hands won't be, there
No.
won't be pump trailers or anything on site? Okay, so just and again, just so I'm clear, not to be a dead horse, but what you're proposing as far as water testing right now, what you're proposing, we know what the residents have asked of the board, but what you're proposing as far as the water testing is, you're proposing that you will stay compliant with what the DEP permits require as far as the testing is concerned. And at this point in time, that indicates in the event of a complaint or a call from them, that's when you react.
Correct.
Okay, just so we're clear.
Yeah, but EQT will offer pre-drill testing to people within that radius.
Within the 3,000.
When will they offer that?
I've written down a note to get in touch with our hydrogeologist that takes care of that, just to make sure that's being pushed
I mean, I
along.
got a letter from Keystone. 6
Okay,
months
Keystone
ago.
would locate the actual
They
water
did that
supply.
about 2 years ago, and I
Right,
got
so,
a paper, but nobody showed up for nothing, so they took pictures and argued that 2 or 3 years ago.
Same thing with us, never showed.
Okay, so with that being said, I would offer to the board a motion.
Before you do that, Mike, I'm so sorry to cut you off. Sarah, is there any other public that would like to speak via Zoom? And then we have a supervisor that is remote, but Ms. Dupree is online. Would Ms. Dupree like to speak or comment on any of this?
The only comment, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, so the only comment I had was there was a gentleman that said that he had something he wanted to add to the record that he did not have with him tonight. I just wanted to clarify that whether or not he was going to request to add something to the record, or he feels that he has, voiced enough of his concern, or
He didn't write it down.
I've voiced enough of the
I
concern.
can't see anybody, so.
So he was the one that came up with the recommendations about the radon, the methane, about those
The
items.
water testing or something like that, and
Correct.
he said that he had something he wanted to add, but he didn't have it with him tonight. I just wanna make sure that before we close the record, that he feels that he is complete.
He stated he was complete. Is that correct, sir?
Okay,
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Any public comments on this? No? Did we give everybody ample opportunity?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you want?
I have just a couple of things after the board.
Any other board comments?
No.
Public?
Just for the record, based off of previous testimony, at least 4 of the supervisors, they've indicated that they do actually have lease agreements. I want to state that for the record. It's our office's legal opinion. We've researched this in the past. Due to the fact, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, EQT, but there are hundreds of lessors in the township. Is that correct? So under the State Ethics Act, that is what's, in our legal opinion, considered a class, subclass exclusion, because they are not being singled out. They're part of a large group, in this case, hundreds if not thousands of individuals as well. Based off of that, I just wanted to enter that into the record, that it is our legal opinion that they are part of the exception of the Ethics Act. And then the last 2 items I do have would be the board to make a motion to enter and accept all of applicants' exhibits, which were A through E, I believe. And then at the same time, to motion, as part of that motion, to enter the township hearing exhibits, which ended up being 1 through 5 into the record.
after that, what, do you motion?
Make a motion to enter those into the record.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to enter and accept, the applicant EQT's A through E exhibit, and to also enter Union Township's exhibits 1 through 5 for the record of this conditional use hearing. Today, February 16th, 2022. That's a motion?
I'll second that motion for Sarah Wolpett.
Okay, Dare motion, Lawson second. Any deliberation? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Trax,
Yes.
Ms. Dare,
Yes.
Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Mr. Eskin,
Yes.
Ms. Dupree.
Yes,
Okay. And is there a specific motion to close the hearing?
You could enter motion to close the hearing record into adjournment.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing, record, and testimony